Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Let's Play Hearts of Iron 4 America. Let's continue on for last left off. We are about to win the war in Iran. The Islamic Republic, I don't think they can really do too much to stop us at this point. Let's see, because you are currently at 42%. We've taken Birjan in the south. But I also got to make sure that they do not cut us off from supplies. I'm sorry to everyone that I've not been utilizing the full efficiency of the helicopters as I should have been. They're actually crazy how strong they are. Okay, you hold back for a second. This is a Republican city. There's the second Night of Long Knives. Which should mean that Germany's campaign's almost done, right? I don't quite remember, but I know Second Long Knives is very, very close to the end. Okay, and you're gonna swing your way back up north. You're gonna, well, I don't know where you're going, but you're gonna go up to your nord. Looking good. Might as well just, I mean, you have low supplies. I don't think it really kills you. Italy's acquired nuclear weapons. Okay, that's fine. I mean, they're no OFN ally, so we should be fine. You know, we'll even do some military austerity. We're winning so much in Iran that I'm not too worried about it. I really need to get this down. Like, it's so important. I don't know if there's anything I can do, though, right now to bring that down. So now we're trying to integrate schools. We can now do the Saturday Night Massacre. We must bend the arc of the universe towards justice. And that completes immediately. It's a 0 out of 0 they focus. A new approach. Integrating America's schools is proving even more difficult than we anticipated. As many state governments, mostly in the South, do their utmost to block and misdirect our efforts. It also doesn't help that the majority of black people in our live in homogenous ghettos too far from the white school districts to be practical, leading to our primary method of integrating schools being busing black students into their recently desegregated schools. Obstruction state governments are well aware of this and are going to almost ridiculous lengths to prevent us from being able to bus black students, desperately trying to find excuses for why their school buses aren't available to us. We've tried the carrot, now it's time for the stick. Despite their pretensions on self-determination, states are still heavily dependent on federal funding to stay afloat, particularly poor southern states. It's about time they've learned that deliberately standing in the way of integration will not come without consequences. Let's see if they fall in line and comply with school integration after we threaten to shut down their federal funding. I might need to cut back on that. It sucks because I really do want to be more liberal here, but like it's just not feasible for us. Okay, let's do the Il Duce disaster, but finally, let's see if we can maybe cut through you. State rights or human rights. Barry Goldwater, that slimy Republican senator from Arizona, has become an increasingly painful thorn in our side, seemingly opposed to every single one of our policies and deals. Goldwater is becoming a strong critic of our administration, and spends most of his time outside of Congress ranting and raving on television screens and radio stations across America. He's becoming notably more vocal lately, after we announced our bill to withhold federal funding from states that refuse to comply with school integration. Like most racists, he's been protesting integration using thinly veiled arguments such as rights for states. We must suppose as a, they've been protesting integration using thinly veiled arguments for the rights of the states to be. We must suppose as the racists that as they choose. The Republicans love this stuff, and the rightists that are supposed to be our party brothers have let their approval be heard. The general government, actually, can I do another? Okay, I think very, very soon we'll be able to put another point in here. General consensus at the moment seems to be that Goldwater is just angling to increase his popularity in the Midwest, but regardless of his motives, he's proven to be one of our major opponents for Washington, and we need to find some way to effectively deal with him before his dominance over the political discourse comes to bite us in the ass at the polling booth. Integration busing is very unpopular at the moment among all but our strongest supporters, and we must continue to aggressively push busing. And if we okay. I have to do this. I think. We're still seen as a threat to the American way of life. Like, it seems bad. Eco down here. We're gonna get encirclement. But again, like, I don't think... Full steam ahead. Once again, Goldwater is doing his damnedest to rain on our parade. His latest scheme seems to be involving using busing as a political token to argue for small government and states' rights, conveniently making himself a household name before the 68 election in the process. That's crazy. That's crazy that he's doing this before the 68 election, man. For us, it's not hard to see what his motivation is, but less politically experienced Americans are falling for it hook, line, and sinker. Using his newfound fame, Goldwater has demanded an end to all federally organized integration busing, giving a fiery speech in support of the states' rights on the Senate floor. As gratifying as it would be for us to simply ignore him, Goldwater has become too big to ignore, and America waits for a response. It'd be a shame to give in to Goldwater's bullying, but the situation seems like a bomb waiting to go off. We could handle this carefully. We could choose to go ahead with busing despite the political consequences, or we could compromise with Goldwater and his buddies by scaling back busing and letting it run its course until it fades away. We want to do the right thing, but is it worth the beating? We need to be discreet. I hate it. I hate that we have to do it this way. But I don't want to die. I don't know what the time to happen is for like I don't know what the mean time to happen is for the okay, there's that encirclement. It means the Japanese are going to be significantly weaker off. Are you the last city here? The surrender of compromise. President Kennedy sat at his desk, jiggling his leg and glancing back and forth at the clock. He watched as the second after second was sliced away until at very last it was 5 o'clock. In a ritual that had become commonplace over the preceding weeks, Kennedy poured himself a tumbler of scotch and sipped it as he watched the rays on the setting sun pour into the Oval Office. He felt deflated. Goldwater had been beating him every which way in the Senate and in the press for weeks. He'd been forced to scale back integration to placate Goldwater and the Republicans, leading only to token busing in a handful of states. Kennedy downed the remaining of his scotch. He might not have gotten everything that he wanted, but at least some kids were going to school. Better than nothing, after all. And if you can't always get everything that you want, especially when Goldwater is when Congress is full of crusty old lizards who hide their racism behind arguments for small government and states' rights. Kennedy sighed and leaned back in his chair. This could have gone better, but certainly could have gone a hell of a lot worse. At least now Goldwater has been less to complain about. Nevertheless, scaling back the integration policy might hurt his appeal among African Americans and the progressive base. The president frowned. Why couldn't everyone to see that he knew what was best for America? Still an enemy of the way of life, but we're still seen as a progressive and a fervent union supporter. So it seems like our base still understands, that they still understand what we have to do. The liberals win in Iran is finally over. We've successfully lifted the liberal faction above its enemies, and the fascists and the communists remaining are being dealt with as we speak. Though we suffer significant casualties, what matters is that we finally have a partner in the Middle East that we can count on. Negotiations with the new government have started, and we believe they will continue promoting our cause just as long as we help them rebuild. A handful of our soldiers remain in the country to subdue any rebellion factions that could harm Iranian leadership, since Iran also suffers serious damage. Our engineers choose to stay behind so the city can be rebuilt. In accordance to the Iranian aid bill, we have also sent economic and industrial advisors to the new government. The rebuilding of Iran will take time, but when it is complete, our sole ally in the Middle East will be even more formidable than it was before the war. The torch of liberty shines ever brighter than before in Asia. 100 political power, 5% stability. They join the OFN. They'll go into the sphere, become more internationalist. Everyone's going to shift to be a little bit more progressive, and we're happy to see it. Again, our only ally in the Middle East is not quite how I would phrase it, but that's fine. Okay, Sanjabi has won the Civil War down there, which is great. Very, very happy to see it. And West Siberia is actually doing really, really well for itself. By the way, are you still fighting your, fake war? The Perm anti-fascist. Do they even still exist? I don't think they do. That's the funny thing here, right? Perm anti-fascist committee. I mean, they technically do. Are they in a faction? No, they're not. Which was what makes this kind of strange. I don't think they even occupy any territory. So I think that's just bugs. So what we're going to do for them is we're just going to fix it. So S, not you. And we're just going to transfer ownership. And that should have... Yeah, okay, that'll remove that war because they no longer actually exist. Which is fine. They can continue fighting their own war up there. It's a little bit of a shame that more people in Africa didn't join the OFN. I was kind of hoping that a handful would. Okay, we need to have this always on. We need to ease southern feeders again. And our troops have returned home. Excellent. You guys will join up with Blue. Where is Blue Army even? Well, they're the ones preparing to go to war in... Okay, I see. You know, actually, you guys here... No. Screw that. Let's move Pink Army down to Mexico. I think that just makes more sense, right? So for a research slot, what do we want to do? Let's go for advanced anti-aircraft guns. I think that seems fairly reasonable. And once we're done with Il Duce, how many focuses do we have left here? 5, 6, 7, 8. And we have all of 1972. So we should get to the end of this. It's so funny that we're now doing this, even though, like, the war's been over for so long. Like the she-wolf that nursed Romulus and the treacherous brother Remus, the United States has come to offer a skewer to Italy in its hour of need. Our newly democratic ally, wrecked by rebellion in the Middle East, has little hope of holding on to their oil-rich colonial territory without the kind of help a superpower can provide. If Italy is able to reestablish their control of the region, not only will we be able to spread the offense influence, we'll also have limitless source of oil, ready to keep the lights on in the United States for decades to come. However, just like about every issue these days, intervention in the Middle East has become a fierce debated issue. The two camps forming in Congress, those who advocate indirect intervention by supplying the Italians with funds, advisors, and materials, and those who argue for direct military intervention. Republican Democrats are for the most part supporting limited intervention, while the NPP argues to slam the brunt of the United States military down on the enemy. But support for either policy comes from both sides of the party line. The debate, consequently, is fierce at best and caustic at worst. Direct interventionists argue the United States military combined with a full force of the United States, the combat is more sufficient to defeat groups of ragtag desert guerrillas, and will ensure offensive supremacy in the region for the foreseeable future. On the other side, it suggested that, while perhaps not as quite as effective, indirect intervention is more than enough to help Italy win the war on their own, and prevent thousands of American boys dying in the sand. Like, we've already won. Like, that's like the interesting thing here, right? It's like, we're pro-interventionist. Send in the troops, of course. But, like, okay, what does this do? Saudi Arabia, Syria, United Republic of the Arab Gulf, and the Lebanese states will lose stability. So is that involving us invading the remnants of the Middle East? Strangle the Saudis, sunset in Bahrain, send troops to Italy, subvert the Pan-Arabist, just war. For now, the United States involvement in Arabia is seen as the right idea. Fire rises. I honestly don't like it. It's very interesting, but I think this is more. We'll do this afterwards. I want to finish this tree done as much as we possibly can. Planned Suburbs National Ethics Commission. Okay, I mean, the thing is, we have to do these. I mean, I say that. I could theoretically just buy time. Because, again, we have until January of 73. Because that's when the new president will get sworn in. Maybe we can wait a little bit. Try to reduce our tension with the right, and then come back here. Because you're only a 14-day focus as well. Again, this is 7:35. So, again, 1, 2, 3... 4, 5 months, 6 months, 7 months total. So we do have time to kind of play around. So you know what? Let's worry about Italy. Worry about the Middle East for now. And we'll try to because chances are these other events are also going to raise our liberalness, which I want to avoid. I mean, I want it, but I also Well, the death of hope. Grief and horror struck the American people today upon hearing that President Robert F. Kennedy and Vice President William Guy were both gunned down in cold blood outside the Ambassador Hotel in Los Angeles. Further details are forthcoming, but the shooter appears to be Kurt Saxon, a militant member of the American Nazi Party with ties to the John Birch Society, the Minutemen, and the Church of Scientology. As the pair exited the hotel, the survivalist terrorist opened fire from his car with a homemade machine gun, which was swiftly apprehended. In a shocking turn of events, the Speaker of the House declined the office of the presidency. The line of succession then fell on J. Strom Thurmond, President Temporal of the United States. He is presently en route to the United States in a grand motorcade in order to be sworn in as the next president. Updates to follow. With Thurmond in charge, many are mourning not only the death of the two beloved leaders, but of their progressive vision as well. Mr. Thurmond is a vocal opponent to civil rights and is considered one of the most extreme figures of the NPP's nationalist wing. It remains to be seen what impact his administration will have on this country, but the grief of the African-American community and their allies is particularly heartfelt in the wake of the atrocity. We will provide more details as the news develops. Remove William Guy. Robert F. Kennedy dies. George Thurmond will become leader of the Paternalist Party. William Harrington will become leader of the Progressives. NPPN will become the ruling party. With lucid insensibility, will lose our political power. This will be a controversy that'll follow the NPP for 104 weeks. Impact coalition unity by 50%. Paternalist Party will become now Progressive. The Kennedy curse has struck once more. Like, we're not popular. Ah! Oh, fuck! Oh, no! Okay, well, I guess fuck the company man, then. Let's go for the greatest disaster. Well... Yikes. The inauguration of Strom Thurmond. America is a quilt. Its presidents stretch from one end of the continent to the other. Each patch is a cornfield. A city, a marketplace, a scrap of land brought in genocide and pain is a quilt of stories, too. Myths and legends, sagas, and lose de memory in the past decade. Too many stories have been added to the quilt. Bloodshed, scandal, hate, agony, grief. The collective nightmares of a nation and all of its complexities have come time and time again. And with the Assembly congressman and the woman in the House chamber, clad in black, they all know that yet another patch has been shown. Worse still is the man newly sworn in as president. True, to some of those gatherers he's a hero, but to many others, President Strom Thurmond is a sick joke of a phrase. And yet here he stands, balding head gleaming under the television lights and slick with sweat. He doesn't speak about segregation or states' rights, to the relief of the countless enemies that he's already made. He acknowledges his unelected status. He says that the important shibboleths of unity and patriotism, he utilizes Robert F. Kennedy, America's latest fallen prince. Without any knowledge of who Strom Thurmond is, the casual viewer might feel confident in his new president. Their anxieties might be soothed over for the moment. But those who know of him, this is a dark night in the soul of Without Equal. The death has taken two icons of progressivism and left in their place an arch segregationist as the leader of the free world. This new bloody patch in America's history will take a long time to heal. So what do we have in here? The greatest disaster, but a greater opportunity. Sowing the seeds. Leadership approval for the national caucus will increase by 3%. Can I say, we didn't get a single event about the leadership approval of the progressives ever. The fake neutrality, cement his legacy. The pack has not yet fallen. Well. Okay. But how bad's the oil crisis now? Does this have an expiration date? No, I mean, it's just kind of like ride out the storm. Very cool, very cool. The thing is, do we go as hard as possible on states' rights? Or do we try to mend the frame? Hello, Mr. Mr. Speaker, this is Thurmond. As in J. Strom. Look, I don't know if you've tuned into the tube lately, but I have something important, very important too. I have, Mr. Speaker. That's precisely why I'm calling. You're next in line for the Oval Office in the wake of this tragedy. And I like to say, as a colleague and as a friend, that you should reconsider accepting the offer. First, you're not my friend, you nationalist fuck. Second, who are you to tell? Hopefully I'm not going to tell anybody anything. But if you were to be sworn in, it would be my duty as the public servant to inform the public of matters that would make the president unfit for the dignity of his... The fuck are you trying to pull here? The American people deserve better than a man who does this kind of unnatural, immoral, and disgusting acts which you commit in motels on a regular basis. Motels you check in to without with an assumed name, along with some unsavory men. Motels whose curtains you had conveniently forgotten to close, where certain onlookers might have been inclined to take truly unsightly photographs. You deserve a better man than that, don't you agree? Silence. I'll take it as a yes. Good call. I'm not the disgusting one here, Thurmond. You are. Whole goddamn country will learn firsthand as soon as you take office. Your country thanks you for making the right choice. Fuck you, Strom. Click. By the way, okay, so is there anything new in here? COINTEL Pro is gone. As well as the mini game, which, I mean, fair enough. Well, I would say with that, it's going to be a good time for us to end this episode. So if you enjoyed my thumbs up, not doing it, always thumb down. You want to see more, subscribe, and goodbye.